this video, I will explain to you how to write an essay in response to the question, how does Philip Pullman present the character of, and then filling in the blank with either Frankenstein, Clerval, or Elizabeth. This is a video to come back to in the future as well, to look at how to structure essays and how to work on analytical paragraphs. To remind you of the action plan that we're taking to accomplish this essay, first step is to choose which character you'd like to write about, then to look back at the list of characteristics for that character, and then to find evidence to support as many of the characteristics as possible. You are aiming for specific quotations that show something they say or do, or that is said about them by others. These three steps should have been accomplished during the class. If they were not fully finished, then they are things you can do to help prepare yourself to write the essay. The next key step is to watch this video to explain how to write your essay, which is what you are doing now. And then the final step is to write the essay. When you write the essay, this is what you do in your introduction. You answer these two questions. Number one, which character have you chosen and what is their role in the play? So who are they and what do they do? Secondly, what are their main characteristics? So this is where you're going to go back to the table and list those characteristics from the table for that particular character. This sets you up for the structure of the essay, where you will work through each of those characteristics and provide evidence and explanations for them. Here is the characteristics table that we put together for the three characters. If we take as an example Elizabeth, we have these 5 characteristics. And now we need to decide on the evidence that shows us that Elizabeth has these characteristics. So if we take concerned as an example characteristic, here are 2 possible pieces of evidence for that. Oh, what can have happened? Something's wrong. I know it, Victor. Or, please, sir, you must make my cousin help me. Tell him to come down with me, and we are going to focus on perhaps the strongest piece of evidence, which is the first quotation. And let's think about what we could say about those words. Oh is often a noise we make when we're desperate and anxious. What can have happened? This question shows that she is seeking answers and is unsure how William is. Something's wrong. Something is a vague word that suggests she doesn't know exactly what's wrong, but feels there is a problem. I know it, Victor. She speaks with conviction that there is a problem and uses her brother's name to appeal to him to be concerned too. Now, we won't need to write about all of these things necessarily, but by looking at the quotation in real detail, we start to understand how we might explain how this piece of evidence shows that she is concerned. Here is a reminder of the 3-part structure of an analytical paragraph: point, evidence, explanation. So in this instance, our point is that Elizabeth is concerned. Our evidence is the quotation, oh, what can have happened? Something's wrong. I know it, Victor. And for our explanation, we will need to see those annotations on the previous slide. Here is an example paragraph putting all of those ideas together. At the start of Act 3, Elizabeth is presented as being concerned, particularly over the safety of her brother William. For example, when she dismisses Frankenstein's claim that William will turn up soon, she exclaims, oh, what can have happened? Something's wrong, I know it, Victor. Oh is a sound people often make when they feel desperate and anxious, while her question suggests that she is seeking answers and is unsure how William is. She seems to be convinced that there is a problem, and she uses Frankenstein's name to appeal to him to be concerned too. Now let me highlight the parts of that paragraph to show you the point, the evidence, and the explanation. So firstly, in blue, you can see the point is accomplished in the opening sentence. We make a simple statement of observation about her characteristic of being concerned. In green, you can see the example from the text, the piece of evidence that supports this characteristic. And then in red, you can see the longest part of the paragraph is the explanation, where we try and explain what the words mean and how they show that Elizabeth is concerned. So once we had written such a paragraph, we would then be moving on to the next characteristic. So we can't talk about concerned anymore. Now we're left with 4 other characteristics to think through. And we need to choose the next characteristic we want to find the evidence for. And we repeat the process and write the same sort of paragraph for that one. Once we have finished our analytical paragraphs, we come to our conclusion. And the conclusion needs to answer this question. Which characteristic that you have written about do you think your character most displays, and why might this be the case? Many people find the conclusion one of the hardest parts of the essay, and that's because it is asking for you to make a judgment, to make an evaluative comment, where you need to look back at what you have written and make a choice as to which particular thing that you are focused on you think is the most significant. So don't just repeat what you have said in the rest of your essay. Try and say something different, something that makes a judgment and shows a personal response.